Hey, good evening, everyone. We'll do it at the end of the meeting too, but I just want to wish everyone out there a happy Thanksgiving this coming Thursday. And may everyone be blessed with all the thanks that go with family and family time. I need a motion to open up the town board meeting tonight for November 20th.
I will make that motion.
Bingham will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Whole aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Good night.
Okay. Next up is the... All right, no. So, I need to read the resolution, which we had passed last meeting, but unfortunately, we had a little problem, a technical problem with the video. So the resolution is as follows. It's regarding J squared bonds. And it's going to say, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Monroe made a motion that all previously posted bonds shall be returned to J squared upon signing of plans. And as per our engineer, to satisfy specific condition number 15, the applicant posts a performance security in the amount of $19,500, which is equal to 26 trees at $750, to be posted for the landscape security for a minimum of 1 year after the CO is issued. That motion was made by myself, seconded by Mike McGinn, and it carried 4-0. Councilwoman Houle was absent. Okay. Next up, I'm going to just do 2 announcements before I get to you guys. Sal, we're going to do this next meeting. We're going to table 3.2 to next meeting,
Okay.
December 4th. 3.3, Sal, you want to talk about the breakfast with Santa at the Harriman Engine Company?
Yes,
Please.
so Sunday, December 3rd, 8 a.m. to noon. Santa will be in attendance at the Harriman Engine Company. Please bring your cameras, take pictures of Santa. They will have breakfast available, French toast, eggs, sausage, bacon, and more. So price is $15 for adult, $10 for seniors, and children 4 to 12 are $5. Kids under 4 are free. Always a great community event. Come out and support it. Santa will be there, take pictures with the kids. So we will see you on the 3rd of December at 8 a.m.
Thank you. Okay, I received a call from the Assistant Superintendent of Business, Patrick Cahill. He wanted to make a presentation so that the word gets out a little better regarding the capital project proposition coming up for the June, right? Or is it a special one?
Tuesday, December 5th.
I'm sorry, Tuesday, December 5th. Okay, all right. Then 2023, it's going to be at the Central Valley Elementary School, a vote from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Come on up. Anthony, did you want to come up too? No. You're that support guy, like little Stevie, and this is Bruce Springsteen. You know?
You just need to turn the mic on, too.
Yeah.
How's that?
Perfect.
Okay,
Just if you could hold the mic, it's easier
Yep.
for the to hear.
That's what I will do. Okay,
Thank you.
That's easier for me as well. I don't have to hunch over. So thank you so much for allowing me to speak to you this evening. Appreciate the opportunity. My name is Patrick Cahill. As Supervisor Cardone just mentioned, I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Business and Management Services, so I'm like the Chief Financial Officer of the district. With me tonight is Anthony Anderson, who's one of the school board members and the chairperson of the Capital Advisory Task Force for the school district. And so we're here tonight to talk about an important initiative that the school district is about to undertake, a major capital project and a referendum and a proposition. And we're having a referendum on Tuesday, December 5th, 2023, because in New York State, public school districts have to have the voters authorize and approve capital work and capital projects. So again, Tuesday, December 5th, 2023 is the date at Central Valley Elementary School of our referendum. And the project itself is a $98 million project. And while that is a large sum of money, it's a project that would do work and make improvements at all 7 of our school buildings and 4 to 5 non-instructional buildings. So it literally will touch almost every building in the district. And it's not an exciting project. There's a lot of nuts and bolts stuff in here. I'm going to talk about it. But the good news about the project is that you see here on our poster, which I brought, 0 tax impact. So 0 impact to the budget and 0 impact to the tax levy. And I'm going to get into the financing and the funding in just a moment. But just to broadly talk about the goals of the project, we're here really to preserve and improve MW schools for current and future kids and families and community. We're here to maintain the health, the safety, and the well-being of students and staff in our buildings, and really to preserve the investment. We've made an investment in our facilities, and we're talking about preserving that investment, reinvesting in the facilities. And to talk about the priorities, the scope of work, like what are we really talking about? So we're talking about adding 3 security vestibules to 3 elementary schools that do not have security vestibules. And by vestibule, I mean we call it a man trap sometimes, where it's an enclosure that would stop visitors, require visitors to interact with a safety officer, exchange credentials, discuss why they're there, et cetera, before they're admitted into the building. So we have 3 buildings that don't have that. So that a visitor is buzzed in, and then we start talking to them about where's their ID, we run the IDs, that sort of thing. So it's an important safety measure. We're talking about replacing public address systems and fire alarms at all the schools, every school. We're talking about replacing boilers and heating and ventilation systems. So I'll get into it a little bit more, but a lot of these boilers are 50 years old and older in some cases, like Pine Tree Elementary around the corner is almost 60 years old. So these are systems way past their useful life, right? We've done a great job with preventive maintenance. We've been proactive on top of these things, but at some point, the system, it needs to be replaced because the repairs are expensive, they're ongoing, and a big piece of the repairs, I'm going to talk about building aid in just a moment, but repair expenses, and we're not talking thousands, we're talking tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands, are not aidable. Capital projects are aidable through New York State. So I like to say it's sort of like throwing good money after bad, right? At some point, you have to replace it, and that's where we're at. So we're talking about boilers, we're talking about roofs, we're talking about brick repointing, so that's just fixing the outside of the buildings. At the Ed Center, the administrative building, it's notorious. When it rains and we get a good wind, the water is cascading around the window frames. I mean, it's ridiculous. We've done some work, but we need to do some more work. So that's a piece of it. Instructionally, we're talking about repairing and renovating a limited number of classrooms at the middle school, technology classrooms and science labs. We're talking about completing the athletic complex, and by that I mean adding permanent bathrooms, a structure that would have bathrooms, a concession stand, and some storage, and replacing the tennis courts. So these tennis courts are like 40 years old. We've repaired them numerous times. They're beyond repair. They're at the point where the cracks, it's like a driveway, right? You just can't, they're too big and substantial. And the structure underneath is compromised, so we really have to repair those. Bless you. And then doing some upgrades at the bus garage. And there's a lot of detail, there's more detail on our website about this stuff. You can look at every building, exactly what's going to be done. But if you take 4 of those things that I just mentioned, if you take boilers and heating, if you take fire alarms, public address systems, which we obviously need in schools, and roofs, right? So 4 elements, basic things, boilers, roofs, you can't have a leaky roof, right, with school. That represents 80% of that $98 million, so about $78 million. So a very basic project. Like I said, we have a lot of information on our website. And so let's talk about the funding sources. So it's really 3 things. It's building aid, which is a form of state aid. It's use of our savings through a capital reserve fund. And it's retirement of existing debt. So state aid. Building aid specifically, it's a program through New York State that is basically the way the state can supplement or reimburse school districts for capital work. And it's complicated, but I'll try to simplify it. It's basically eligible construction work, and generally anything you do in a school would be eligible, multiplied by building aid ratio. So that's like your reimbursement rate. So in Monroe Woodbury's case, our building aid ratio is 74.1%. So we're conservatively estimating that we'll be reimbursed about 70%. So for every dollar we spend, we'll receive 70 cents back from the state over a 15-year period of time. So that's number one, huge, important supplement. Number two, the capital reserve. So we've set aside money in our reserve, a savings account, since 2017. That's when we established it. We have about $18.4 million in the reserve now. We anticipate when all is said and done, we'll be able to apply about $24 million to this project. So that's the next big piece of the puzzle.
24%.
Pardon?
24%?
24% and $24 million. So at roughly $100 million, it's roughly the same, actually.
Oh, okay.
A little confusing, but, and then the final piece of that puzzle, that pie, is retirement of existing debt. So we have debt mostly from the high school, construction of the high school, that's about to be paid off in the next, I would say, 3 to 5 years. So what that does, it gives us that room, that local share in the budget to layer on new debt. So with those three things, we can do all of this work, this vital work, replacing systems that are past their useful life and are not functioning well with zero tax impact. Really important concept, can't stress it enough. Again, the referendum date, Tuesday, December 5th, 2023, at Central Valley Elementary School. We have a half day for students, so 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Is the voting time, and it's a really important initiative. I'm trying to think if I've missed anything else. A lot of info on our website, a lot of detail if you want to look at that. But it's really important, and you know, it's something that we can't advocate. We're not permitted to advocate for this. We're providing information, but some of these things we really need to do them. We should do them now. It's time, and we've waited to some degree to this point in time to have the money saved in our reserve, and the point in time where we're retiring the existing debt. So I'm open to questions or comments. I don't know if Anthony, if you would like to say anything or add anything.
As usual, Patrick, I think you hit everything. As a person in the community, the big things for us are it's really a basic thing. It's not the most exciting thing. It's roofs, it's boilers, it's security issues, and it's zero tax impact. It's something we all need as a community member to keep the schools, up to shape, and one of our prime assets, because that's what keeps all of our homes, at a good price. So, as a community member, I think you know the way I feel about it. Zero tax impact, things that are really needed in the schools. December 5th, Tuesday, December 5th, please get out and vote. I think you hit everything.
Okay, great. Thanks, Anthony.
I have a question.
Yes.
You said you're completing the athletic complex. Does that include locker rooms?
It does not.
So it's not complete then?
Well, I guess it depends on the definition of complete. What I meant was we're going to build a simple structure that has bathrooms, concession, and storage. I think lockers, we had talked about that, but we did this last year at a slightly higher number, so we had to make some tough choices. We had to make tough choices to get to the $115 million number last year. And there's certain things which we just didn't leave in there. We prioritize things. So when we think about that, security is a priority. Heat, a sound roof, an envelope of a building needs to be sound. Those are the first things, the highest priorities. But so, Tony, no, there's no.
You know where I stand on athletics, and
I hear you.
It's got nothing to do with football. It's everything.
I hear you.
So we'll have a sidebar talk this week after.
Oh,
after
boy.
that. Hey, first,
It's all about football, Tony. Let's
No,
not
it's
be
not.
kidding.
No, it's not.
No one cares about soccer. Come on.
No, I do. I
No,
care
I'm
about
just kidding.
soccer. I
I'm
care
just
about
kidding.
lacrosse. I care about girls
No,
soccer,
I'm just
girls
kidding.
lacrosse.
I know you do. I know you do.
I know Pazakis will be calling me saying, "Hey, thanks for that little, push you gave." Anthony, thank you for serving on the board. How long you been on? 10 years? 9 years. Yeah, thank you for serving on it. I know it's a volunteer position, and I appreciate your commitment to the community. And Patrick, thank you for what you do. You've been, very, very astute in what you do over there at the school district. So I don't know if you guys ever heard this story. So I'm going with my secretary Jen, and we're I told Patrick the story, and we're driving from here to, we were going to Woodbury for a meeting or something, and she said, "Did you call Patrick Cahill back?" And I said, "No, I didn't." And as I say that, Jen goes like this. She makes the sign of the cross. And I'm like, "Oh my God, what's wrong with Patrick? I didn't know anything was wrong." And she looks at me, she goes, "No, we just passed the church. I always make the sign of the cross." when we pass the church."
Oh, wow.
So, anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, I just, so obviously, listen, taxpayers are going to be skeptical about the zero impact. And I know you just, really explained really well how, the funding's going to work for it and where it's coming from, and I get that. But then you said you can't advocate for it. Now, I know, the district sent out some mailers. Why can't you? Because I think, like I said, I think if you could advocate for it, then people might be more apt to turn out and vote. So why can't you advocate for it, other than doing the mailers and what you've done so far, and being here, of course?
Well, it's what we can do is objectively, unbiasedly provide information about the program, which is what we're doing. Commissioner of Education has several decisions which prohibit school districts from advocating. By advocating, I mean using resources, particularly financial resources, to push something like this, to say we must do this. It would be unwise to not do it, to do otherwise, that sort of thing. So there's at least, I would say, like 3 to 4 decisions that I'm aware of. So it's one of those things that's a no-no, right? Especially if there's finances involved. If we send you a mailer that is more than informational, it's advocacy, it says you should vote for this, then that's advocacy. So that's basically why it's regulation.
State Board of Ed basic
Correct.
has a finding that prohibits you from doing
Exactly.
so.
And I mean, to your other point, Mike, I actually have more detailed financial schedules and some other things which we've presented in the past, which really get into the zero tax impact, because we've extended it. We know what's going to happen more or less. And what I show is, I call it the local share. So the local share is debt service, both new and old, minus the building aid that I talked about here, both new and old. And you can see, because things are coming on and coming off at different time frames. And so in year one, this project will have a very minor de minimis increase in the $16,000. But in year two, that local share drops. It's like 211,000 decrease. And then it decreases again and again. And then it sort of stabilizes. And if you look at a 15-year period of time, the local share, so it's the impact on the budget, which ultimately would impact the levy, is minus 37,000, I think 327, something like that. So it's a negative number when you extend it all out. So we do have more detailed information. At different times, I would get into the details, and people would say, too much.
Yeah.
We have to, you got to cook this down, make this, simpler, and distill it in a more understandable way. And that's sort of where we came up with the 3 areas of, funding, because that's real. That's how it works.
Yeah, like I said, people, these are historically low turnouts. I mean, our last election was a pitifully, low turnout because it was just that one, just a town election and judges. And here you're going to have this, so.
Right. And that's a concern where people may be
there's
a
a
little
lot of new
apathetic.
people up here.
Yeah.
And listen, the schools are a reason why they came and had their families move up here from the city or wherever else. So if there's a way to reach out to them to kind of get them out to the polls. Let us know how that works, because we'd like to try the same thing. So.
Well, that's why I'm here, right? We're trying to beat the drum and get it out through all the channels that are available. We've done mailings, we've done Crusader chats. I think I guess next week on the 30th, we're going to come to the Monroe Senior Center. We're going to do a presentation to the seniors. We've been to the Woodbury Senior Center.
Proud.
So we're just trying all of it, everything.
We'll make that side of the cross right now, all right?
I'll be there.
Okay,
I'll be there to help you out.
Good.
So Patrick, I have a question. With replacing 60-year-old furnaces and with repairing and replacing roofs, have you studied what the energy savings will be with the new with the new furnaces and with the cracks sealed in the roofs and
Right.
not having heat escaping.
We have. We've had our architects and engineers look into that. And I mean, it's something I didn't mention, but there are savings. It's not as big or substantial as you might think.
We're
But
not saving $98 million?
no, not quite.
That's where I was
But
going with
it's,
this.
tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, so it does matter over time. And we're not going to incur the repair costs that we do. And things are going to run better. And I mean, there's, I don't know if I should go into it. There's even the possibility we're talking about, at least in one of the buildings. We're not doing boilers in every building, but I think we're doing 5 buildings. Doing something with heat pump technology. So this is technology that both heats and can provide air conditioning in a building. It's electric.
That's the way climate control in the school.
Yes. Okay. So that's not to say we're absolutely going to do that, but this is another thing we're thinking about, and then even potentially you could link in solar arrays that would provide the electricity for that heat pump system.
What about like hitting up NYSERDA for grants for that portion of it?
That would be part of it too. Yep, for sure. So I'm not saying we're absolutely doing that, but I mean there's things that are in the works, and that would affect your question. Would be the energy savings. What does that amount to? Financially, the financial impact of that. So it's exciting. There's a lot of interesting things going on.
Every little bit helps.
For sure.
Mr. Cahill, I also have a question. Worst case scenario, if this proposition did not pass, what would happen in the future with the regular school budget? Would it affect that as well?
If this was not to pass,
Right.
I think if this was not to pass, we would probably go back to the drawing board maybe and revise it again. And then I'm not sure, obviously the board ultimately makes that decision, but perhaps it would be something we would put out in May, a scaled down proposition. But if it was not to pass and we put that aside, what would we do? We would continue to do what we're doing, which is a lot of preventive maintenance, incur repairs, deal with the failures. We had a problem with the Pine Tree, one of the boilers last year, where it was a major, significant problem. So we had to take that boiler out of commission for approximately a week. We were fortunate it was winter. There's 3 boilers, so the other 2 could heat the building. It wasn't that cold. But I mean, it's that kind of thing that keeps us up at night too. We go into the heating season and we can't have school if there's no heat. So we're in a business. We need these things to be operational. So it's a concern, and I think what we'd have to do if it didn't pass is we'd have to revise it and come back with something different, something that maybe the community could support.
When you came back in May, would that also impact where you could get your funding sources, or would those funding sources still be available?
I think they would still be available, because basically what we do is we go out into the bond market. We do the same thing you folks do, right? We borrow by issuing bonds, and and we have a very good credit rating and all that sort of thing. The fact that we have money saved in the reserve, et cetera, that helps. But that's what we would do. We would go back out. So I think that would still be there, but who knows what's happening with interest rates. Right now it's not great. But what we can do in terms of interest rates is we do we can do short-term borrowing, which we would. We'd issue bands, bond anticipation notes. You can do that for up to 5 or 6 years. So it's a way you can kind of play the financial markets and hit the interest rate when you think it's right.
Okay.
Anything else?
We're good. Thank
Okay.
you very much for
Thank
being
you
here
so
tonight.
much.
Appreciate
Good night.
it.
Good night,
Thank you.
everybody.
You too, Anthony. Thank you. Okay. Next item on the agenda is to adopt the 2024 Town of Monroe preliminary budget as our budget. So, Val, you have those slides. Do you have the rate sheet up there? Okay, so can you put that up there, please? Okay, so currently, our town, the actual amount of the town levy is $3,606. Thank you, gentlemen. Below the cap. A lot of work went into this between Helen and Roberta and myself, cutting here, adding here. Revenues were extremely tight this year. So what we did is we had to add $714,000 in the A fund, $217,000 in the B fund, and $65,000 in the DA fund to the fund balance. So that's a total of $996,000. Traditionally, we don't like to do that. That's a lot to add to it. But when you look at last year's versus this year, when the appropriation last year, I believe, was 9.7 million, and this year it's 11.2 and change, it had to be adjusted somehow. None of those fund balances added in will be paying any portion of the purchase for the Rye Hill corridor. We're getting this year's portion of that from the parkland fees, because that's what parkland fees are for, to purchase land or add to capital. Anybody have any questions on that? Okay, can you go to the first slide? So I tried to keep this real simplistic. So if you look at the rates from 2018 to 2024, in 2018, the rate a taxpayer for a $100,000 assessed value home in the village, they were paying $724.72. And if you move ahead to 2024, they're paying $733.80, which is about $9 more. If you look at the town taxpayer, they were paying $1,161.52, and that was in 18, and presently they're paying $1,160.61. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see that the difference from 18 to now is minus 91 cents that a town resident is paying. And I had to put this out, and I think we had to put this out as a town board because of the constant lies put out on social media about our budget and our costs and everything going up. Yeah, the costs for us have gone up, but we've managed to hold taxes. The rate of the village increase was 1.13% increase over 6 years. The rate of the town increase was 0 or 0.00007. And, you know, we have all contributed to that. We have all done a great job in handling what we handle. Our department heads have done just as much as we do because they control their spending. And, you know, there comes a time, and it's probably going to be next week, when, you know, we ask our department heads to stop spending. Let's try to get some surplus in here. But I don't think you can find a town that has done what we have done over the last 6 years. Anybody have any questions?
Just, you know, you're correct. There's a lot of misinformation and outright falsehoods that are put out there on social media by people, and you know, which is a place where you should never get your information from, but people choose to do it because it's quick and easy. But you know, those are amazing numbers, and this, with inflation and everything else that's going on, and still be able to give our town, you know, our town employees who work very, very hard, to give them, you know, a raise to kind of keep up with the inflation it's good work. I mean, it's not good work, it's great work, what you and the finance department did to get us to this point. So kudos to you as always, Mr. Supervisor, on my last budget, and
thank you.
You've always done an awesome job, and the taxpayers should appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm hoping next year, we're able to keep it under the cap. I say that because, we met with our accountants today, and, they said, there's the same issue for a lot of municipalities. We also, mayors and supervisors met with the county executive late last week, and it was the same discussion. Tax cap, tax cap, tax cap, and our accountants told us what the state does compared to what you guys do is a disgrace.
If they abided by the tax cap,
Yeah.
we'd all be in better shape.
And
Yeah.
the one thing that came out of it was the thing that the tax cap represents right now in New York State is political. It's political. Somebody goes over the cap, they're going to be attacked. No, you don't know how to budget, No, that's not the case. You have everything that's going up, and we're using less in maintaining our services, our roads, our safety, our public safety, our employees. There's just so much that goes into this. So I'm hoping next year we can stay at this point, but I know it's going to be very difficult. And that's just not me saying that. That's a lot of the other supervisors and mayors talking that way, because you can't keep cutting into your reserves to pay for your everyday expenses at the rate that we did this year.
Well, numbers don't lie, and hopefully that silences the.
Yeah, I hope so. And if it doesn't, so be it. We'll keep doing what we do.
Well done.
Yep, thank you. Anybody have any questions?
I just wanted to say that I spent over close to 45 minutes with the supervisor today going over items in the budget that I didn't understand. And he was very clear, and we actually called Roberta from the finance department on a few matters. And it was good to hear that the employees are getting at a minimum 4.5%, because with inflation, it's been very hard. Every time you go to the store, it's increased. And I know that one of the department heads, when they came up before us as a board, at that time, they don't know what we can spend on employees as far as raises. And they were very concerned because their employees are facing tough economic times because of the inflation. So I'm glad to hear that at a minimum, our employees are going to get 4.5%, and the ones that had some extra duties added to them or have some extra responsibilities, they're going to be able to be compensated as well. So I'm glad that the supervisor and I spent that time today to confirm that.
Yep, everything's good. And you got my email on that?
Yes,
That other?
clarification,
Yeah,
yep.
okay, just to clarify that. Because I'd be honest with you, Councilwoman Bingham, it threw me for a loop too. And I was like, wait a minute, I know what that is, but I can't remember what it is, so that was good. Okay, if there's no other questions, we can move forward. I'd like to make a motion first to adopt the 2024 Town of Monroe preliminary budget.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Pool eye.
Cardone, aye.
Well, aye.
Good night.
So moved. Okay. Item 4.2 is a motion to open up the continuation of the public hearing, local law H-V1 of 2022 to amend Chapter 57 concerning the regulations governing tree preservation. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Pool eye.
Cardone, aye.
Ancarello, aye.
Good night.
So moved. Dennis, do you want to
Dennis
speak?
Fordham.
What's that?
Dennis Fordham.
Young man, you are welcome to leave because you have a lot of homework you have to do, and you have to get to bed before 9 o'clock.
Wow.
But thank you, seriously.
8 years old?
You can leave. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate it.
Did you get your form signed?
All right.
Okay, good. You signed
And
it.
tell your government teacher we said to give you an A. All right, you too.
No.
No, it's not on. Yeah, just turn it on.
Just a reminder,
good?
there's 5
That's
minutes
good.
for public comment.
What's that?
Just a reminder, there's 5 minutes for public comment.
Yep.
With due respect, I think on this subject we may need more or maybe not, but I would hate to be restricted to 5 minutes.
Right?
Yeah, well, okay, I just wanted to, I think, it's a significant issue. Let's
Go ahead.
Okay. We received the latest revision of the tree code last Thursday. I submitted further comments this morning, which I think I copied all of you. But they may seem extensive, they're really not. A lot of them are pretty much just defining minor issues, which I know Max will agree with. Most of them, maybe one or two, whether we have to have some discussion. And I would like to do that with him, with Dory, just as we did before, and resolve these issues as quickly as possible, because I know you want to get this tree code passed as soon as possible.
We would like to pass it at our December 4th meeting.
Right.
So-
That's not long, and as long as we can get Max on board to
2
do
weeks.
this, I think that's a good idea. I mean,
So we'll work on getting a
as far as
Zoom
I'm concerned,
meeting.
we're almost there, but the others have to agree to that. The other concern I have is that really the only person that's given any significant comments to this draft tree code is me. Other people that will be involved are Ben Maldonado, the building inspector, the planning board. I'm not aware, and maybe they have submitted their comments and gone through this in detail, because it will affect them in detail. It's going to change from what we've been doing on the old tree code.
When you say, when you say people, you're talking about the board, or you're talking about residents?
I'm not concerned with residents. I think that they've had their chance to comment. The two elements that will get involved from here on are the building inspector, just as before, and the planning board. The requirements appertaining to what they have to do for various numbers of trees and so on are changing. I just want to make sure that they have read this and understand what these changes are implying for their responsibilities.
And I can tell you this, I know the planning board chair
Yes.
and the assistant chair have both reviewed it. I know I have made comments to Max. Every time I make a comment to Max or talk to Max, or Brian and I have a conversation with Max, you're not aware of that.
No.
So we have discussed a lot of this. It's not like we're, removing ourselves from that. We're trying to move it forward.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. But
And I know, I know Dory has too, because
Yes.
Dory has
No,
been in
Dory
on
has, and we've been
a lot of the
speaking, yes.
conversations.
Yeah.
So,
So going forward, just as perhaps we should have done more in the past, we, on paper, according to the law, will be getting involved with virtually every project that involves taking down trees. So it may be more responsibility on us. So I just want to make sure that it's the best it can be and that everybody's on board with what it's
Yeah.
implying.
listen, I understand where this tree code is going and why it's going in that direction. I personally think it's a little overkill for the Conservation Commission.
I would tend to agree with you, quite honestly, but it is what it is.
It is what it is, and I think that the planning board will get it to a point while they're reviewing plans where 90% of the work will probably be done, and then the other 10% will be placed on your shoulders.
Well, that is true. With the case and with the new law, it's more than 25 trees, okay, where they have to, where it becomes a tree plan permit project. And when they've gone through their requirements, which obviously don't just concern trees, there's all the other aspects of what's going on that site, then it's supposed to come to us for final review. And so I just want to make sure that everybody's...
Just remember, the slower you move, the higher the tax rate goes, because we'll get ratables from a development.
Okay, so that's all I wanted to say.
What's that, Mary?
And the fatter the tree grows.
Yes.
Yeah.
And listen, Dad, I'm joking about that because I know you've put a lot of time and effort over the last year.
I really have, and
I know you have.
I've got to tell you, I've learned an awful lot
Yeah.
from when we started with this, and then asking advice, looking things up, and so on. For example, we have to come up under the code, as it was before, to come up with a list of native, protected specimen trees. We will do that. We're going to do that. We already have a list of native trees, which Max has helped us produce. There's quite a lot of work involved in doing that. We're going to do that, and going forward, I'd like to see this tree code really be used effectively for the benefit of all of us.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, quick funny story. I'm out putting up the flags for heroes about 2 weeks ago. And I hear, hey, Tony. And I look up, and there's this guy that looks like he just finished the Tour de France. And I'm like, yeah, can I help you? He goes, it's me, it's Dennis.
Yeah. I'm a pretty serious cyclist.
I love it.
Great.
We need
Good for you.
a code for a cyclist. haven't we?
That's
Oh,
good.
boy.
We're okay on that.
That's the next one.
Yeah,
You kept your comments under 5 minutes, by
yeah,
the way.
you were good.
That was excellent.
All right.
Just as a side, going back to talking about the school, but I'm talking about new heating systems, heat pumps, and so on. All those can be credits for the climate smart
They can be,
communities.
yes.
So I just wanted to say
Yep.
that. So that's all good stuff as well.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
all right.
Can I say one other thing? We've
Sure.
got three applicants. Three applicants, as you know. We've seen all of them. I will have a recommendation very shortly on the one that we want to pick. Definitely prior to the next meeting.
Okay,
So
sounds
next
good.
meeting, I'm assuming you can approve that person?
We would probably wait until the January reorg meeting,
Yes?
but it would be nice to have it before then.
Yeah, you'll have it, if not, you'll have it immediately after Thanksgiving.
Okay, perfect.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you, Dennis.
All right, have a good evening.
Thanks, Dennis.
That's all for public comment.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments? Okay, I'll make a motion to keep open the continuation of the public hearing regarding local law H-V1 of 2022 to amend Chapter 50 zoning concerning regulations governing tree preservation to December 4th at 7 p.m. or immediately thereafter.
Poole will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pancarello, aye.
Good night.
Okay. Motion to open up the continuation of the public hearing in relation to the increase and improvement of facilities of Water District Number 14. I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pancarello, aye.
Good night.
Madam Clerk?
For public comment?
No public comment. Anybody have public comment here?
Wish we would get some grants.
What's that?
Wish we would get some grants.
Yeah. We're working on them.
I know.
We're working on them. So we're going to keep this open? What's the board's flavor as far as keeping it open? You want to go into next year?
I think so,
January.
January, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's go to January 17th at 2024 at 7 p.m. or immediately thereafter.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pancarello, aye.
Good night.
So moved. I'll make a motion to open the continuation of the public hearing in relation to the increase and improvements of facilities of Water District Number 8.
Bingham will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pancarello, aye.
Good night.
So moved.
No public comment?
No public comment. All right, similar situation, awaiting grants. I mean, I'll even say we should probably push this one back to February 5th. So we'll keep this meeting, the continuation of this public hearing in relation to the increase and improvement of facilities of Water District Number 8 to February 5th, 2024.
Bingham will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pancarello, aye.
Good night.
Okay, so moved. Okay, item 4.8, last meeting we made an amendment to keep the continuation of the public hearing for proposed local law F-V1 to amend Chapter 57 of the Town Code, tax exemptions for volunteer firefighters. At that time, I tentatively said we were going to have it on January 16th. The planning board, the planning board of ZBA meets on that date. It's a Tuesday. So we're going to have to push that to our meeting date, which will now be January 17th, 2024. So I'll make a motion to do that.
Poole will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pancarello, aye.
Good night.
Okay. All right, we need a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, I'll second it. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, abstain.
Cardone, aye.
Pancarello, aye.
Good night.
So moved. Okay. Sorry, let me catch up. So, general fund abstract, which is abstract number 23-18. in the amount of $495,199.76. And I'm going to make a motion to approve that, and those contain checks 30948 through 31006.
Bingham will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Anchorillo, aye.
Good night.
Okay, so moved. Okay, you have the 2024 town meeting schedule in front of you? Anyone want to make a motion to approve that?
Poole will make a motion that we approve the town board meeting schedule for 2024.
I'll second it. Any discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Anchorillo, aye.
Good night.
Okay, probably next meeting we'll have the holiday schedule. We're waiting to see what the county does, and we usually coincide with their schedule. Next up is the elevator repair on the theater at 34 Mill Pond Parkway. We have a couple of little deficiencies there that need to be upgraded and improved. So we have a quote of $4,500. There's oil leaking in the motor room from the elevator pipeline, and there's oil coming from a shutoff valve. They're going to replace the shutoff valve, and they'll also supply whole door rollers for all floors in the car. And the amount is $4,500. So I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Anchorillo, aye.
Good night.
So moved. Employee handbook revision. Essentially, I'm going to make a motion that in the employee handbook, section 809, this will be effective January 1, 2024. The employee and elected officials reimbursement for approved optical care expenses shall not exceed $500 per family. The previously approved maximum reimbursement was $400 per year per family.
Bingham will second.
Any discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Anchorillo, aye.
Good night.
Okay. Item 7.4. Superintendent Patterson, you want to discuss that?
Yes, it's with regret I accepted the resignation of Danielle Adair, the confidential secretary to the highway superintendent, but she is moving on to bigger and better things, and this is what she would like to do, and I encourage somebody, if they want to move on and improve themselves, to do it, and she will be missed.
Our last day of employment with the town is December 1, 2023. So we need a motion to accept that resignation.
Make the motion to accept the resignation of Danielle Adair, effective 12/1/23.
With regret, Poole will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Anchorillo, aye.
Good night.
Okay, so moved. Item 7.5 is Bald Hill. So Matt, I'm just, and by the way, I apologize. Our attorney this evening is Matt Lazzotti from the firm of Ferrick, Nugent, McCartney. So my apologies for not acknowledging that at the first part of the meeting, Matt.
I thought you were apologizing for him being here. It
No,
sounded like that's the way you were saying it at
no,
first.
absolutely not. For not mentioning his, Mr. Nugent's replacement tonight. Matt has done wonders for us up at the Appellate Court of Appeals at the state.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, a major case that we ended up winning, which would have cost municipalities and other civil service line of workers, those businesses would have cost them a ton going forward. So thank you for doing that, Matt.
With Brian, yes.
Okay, so Bald Hill. So I'm a little confused because the only resolution we're passing here tonight is regarding the policing of the public roads, or are we passing? I don't know. There's a signed resolution from 9/11 in 2018.
What I discussed with Brian was yes, policing of the roads.
Okay.
That was the extent of it.
That was the extent of it. That's what I thought. Okay. So we have to pass the resolution. I'll read it. Basically, this is in regard to the Dubja Realty, Inc., in the town of Monroe, SBLs 1-3-25.2 and 27.12. In addition to the Village of Monroe tax map parcels 209-1-1 and 209-1-2. And whereas the pursuant to the project resolution of approval, the applicant was required to comply with various conditions, and whereas the applicant has submitted required documents in relation to the approval of the project, and the town board desires to accept dedications, approve document submissions, and authorize the town supervisor to execute any and all necessary documents. So, Dory, I'm going to ask you to read this going forward, since I can't make the
Sure.
motion. So just go from the whereas.
Yep. Now therefore be it resolved, Section 1, the above whereas clauses are incorporated herein as if set forth in full. Section 2, the town board hereby authorizes acceptance of the offer of dedication set forth in condition number 22 of the resolution of approval, which dedication documents have been presented to the town board substantially in final form, subject to final review and approval by the town attorney and town engineer. Section 3, the town board hereby approves the restrictive covenant required pursuant to condition number 11 of the resolution of approval for the project, subject to town attorney review, and further authorizes the town supervisor to execute such documents substantially in the form presented to the town board. Section 4, the town board hereby approves the public improvement security agreement required by condition number 16 of the resolution of approval for the project, and authorizes the town supervisor to execute such document in the final form approved by the town attorney. Section 5, the town board hereby approves the excerpt of HOA bylaws required by the project resolution of approval in condition number 8, condition number 20, and condition number 21. Section 6, this resolution is conditioned upon submission of any and all required fees, escrow, or other conditions necessary to effectuate the purposes of this resolution. Section 7, this resolution shall be effective immediately. So I make a motion that we pass resolution, which number will this
There's
be?
no number yet.
There's no number yet.
No, once I do once I put all the minutes in, that's when it gets assigned a number.
Okay,
This is
so-
different from a local law. That's when those numbers get assigned.
Okay. So I make a motion that we pass the resolution accepting dedications and approving other documents related to the Bald Hill development.
Second,
I'll second.
discussion? Question?
Hingham, aye.
Well, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Can I,
Okay, just for transparency here, no, I'm sorry, I made a mistake, wrong development, my error. Okay, so moved, thank you. Item 8.1
7.6?
and 7, and like I said, 7.6.
7.6.
7.6, we need to set the public hearing date for the amendment of Chapter 51 of the Town Code. So we're going to do that on December 4th at 7 PM or immediately thereafter.
Hold a second.
Discussion. Chapter 51 is for vehicles and traffic, correct?
Is for what?
Vehicles and traffic?
Yes.
Okay.
Call the question?
Bingham, aye.
Well, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
can I,
So moved. All right. Item in old business, 8.1 and 8.2, it's basically the same. It's board docs. Madam Clerk, do you want to talk about that?
Sure. So our renewal has come up with board docs. There has been a $945 increase. Currently, we are paying $18,900. It's going up to $19,845. It's a flat rate with board docs, so no matter how many governing boards we have that use the program, if everyone is not using it, it's still that same flat rate. We do have unlimited governing boards with board docs. Going on to Diligent Community, this is the other company. It's still with board docs, but it's very similar. Diligent is investing their future in community versus board docs. There are some benefits to it. Auto save features. Unfortunately, we wouldn't be able to duplicate meetings the way we can now. So a new agenda would just have to be created on its own. They are pushing to get that feature in place, though, because there's been a big request for it. So I've been negotiating with Diligent to see what they can do price-wise for us. So the price that they came back to with me for is $15,000 with an annual 5% increase. There would be small group training sessions. Right now with board docs, if somebody forgets their password, they have to contact me to reset it, where the employee would be able to do that on their own. They would not need to reach out to me. Everything would transition over to community. YouTube videos will still be available. There will be ongoing training videos. It's mobile friendly. Agenda attachments. Currently, right now, when the agenda packets get printed out, the attachments need to get printed out separately. So that kind of might throw off your packet if it's not printed single-sided. You can edit a Word document right in the program instead of editing an actual Word document and then having to attach it to the program. So it has its benefits. Additionally, board docs will Diligent Community will pull in up to 5 governing bodies. So currently it's Town Board, Planning and Zoning that are using board docs. Monroe Joint Fire is interested in using the program along with the parks. So those are our 5 governing bodies. Should the other 2 governing bodies decide to join this program, they have a package of 5 additional governing bodies that they would bring in. That's an additional $2,500.
On Diligent.
On Diligent, yes. And
So, I mean, the bottom line here is if that's, you're talking about a difference of like $2,400 between Diligent and Board Docs, because Board Docs is going up to $19,900.
If we added in the other governing bodies.
Right.
For the additional $2,500.
No, that's
no.
Diligent. That's Diligent.
no,
So
board doc-
Diligent will be $17,500?
Diligent right now is 15.
Plus-
If those other 2 governing bodies decide to join, then it's the additional 2,500. The other thing that you have with Diligent, they have something called Boxcast that you could live stream meetings, and there's an additional fee for that. That I don't have a price for. But currently, board docs renewal would be $19,845.
So $19,845? So you're talking about a 12% difference, and we're going to have everyone go through retraining? I mean, what does it make sense to you to switch?
So I'm fine with whatever the board decides. Like I said, Diligent is focusing all their energies into community going forward. I'm going to have to train, regardless, Monroe Joint Fire and the Parks Department on the new system.
So if Diligent is going to be focusing all of their efforts and their energies on this community program, does that mean that they're going to come to a point sometime in the near future where they will not be supporting board docs?
He told me that board docs will still be around, but like I said, the focus of their investments are going to community, Diligent Community.
Have you seen a presentation on Diligent Community?
Jen and I were on a webinar with them. There are similar features. There are some things that are different, as I had mentioned.
Are there improvements?
There are improvements. The other thing too with Diligent, there was on their home screen, there's a calendar. So it shows, not that it's a selling point, but there's a calendar that shows all the meetings that are populated in Board Docs, displays on the public side. So the public is aware of when meetings are as well. So I
gotta be honest with you, I personally don't think this is the board's call. I think this is your call as the clerk. And you and Jen saw the program. I can't answer to it. I mean, for 12% savings, yeah, of course you always want to save money, but is it gonna cause problems? Because now the planning board, the ZBA, and our town employees have to get retrained.
So,
You don't have to make the decision now. We could hold it off till next month if you want. I'm just saying, it's really your call, Madam Clerk. Because this is the program you're using. I will make a suggestion. Call Bargoff at the Monroe Woodbury High School, because Bargoff is the one that came to the town board meeting in 2016 and gave us a presentation on board docs. Get his opinion on it. You know, he's the IT tech guy there. I think he could help you out more than anyone that I know.
It's weird that a company is like competing against itself.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, and
You
that's
know.
what makes me wonder about whether or
Whether
not
it's
there's
gonna
going
be
to be
supported.
support, right?
Yeah.
Board docs could continue to be around, but if there's no support for it, that's going to make any time that we have an issue, it's going to be very difficult to get around it.
Do you know of any communities that are currently using Diligent Community?
I do not.
No, okay.
maybe you might find that out too. And, we could talk about it in December and make decision then. We actually included in the budget the 19,800 number, so whatever you choose, you're covered.
I mean,
And
regardless,
and if we have to, we'll just take it from the highway. That's not a problem.
like I said, if, regardless, I'm still going to have to train Parks and Fire
Yeah.
how to use the program, so.
So you'd be, instead of retraining 5 different departments / arms of our municipality, you're going to be only training 2. Right, if we maintain board docs. Okay. All right.
3, including Pat.
That?
3, including Pat.
You gotta get Pat on board?
All right. Okay.
From the floor?
What's that?
From the floor?
From the floor?
I had,
Right, go ahead. Yep.
Okay, I wanted to add that we received a letter from Nelson Pope Voorhees from Max Stock. There was quite a bit of confusion regarding town section 57-21-1E. So he sent a letter clarifying it, but because it's changing, it's not necessarily changing, it's amending the zoning chapter. We need a resolution from the board to send this to the Orange County Planning Department to see if it meets their, if it's up to snuff with them. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And also, Max suggested we also send it to the Town Planning Board. So I'll make a resolution that we forward this letter to Orange County Planning Department for their information and feedback, as well as to the Town Planning Board.
All a second.
Call the question?
Bingham, aye?
Cool, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cancarello, aye.
Good night.
So moved. Any other business tonight?
Saturday is Small Business Saturday. Get out and support our wonderful ever. Get out there and shop local as much as you can. not only this holiday season, but, you know, make it a point to visit some of these small, local, independently mom-and-pop owned stores this weekend. Habit, so.
And if anyone needs to know where the small businesses are, we have plenty here
do.
in the town and the village of Monroe.
We do. I think we have more than ever, so.
And Harriman as well.
Harriman Army Navy, Harriman
Beck's.
Clothing
There's a new
Company.
Beck's,
Nike
just-
sneaker store. Yeah.
That's right, that's right.
Which sneaker store?
A Nike sneaker store.
Where's that?
Harriman Triangle, that area.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't
Oh,
know
wow.
that.
Yep. Maggie's Celtic Cottage behind Chase on 17M, the shops at Lake Street.
Eat locally, you know, support our local eateries, and just get out there and help these folks. They've had a terribly hard couple of years here, so,
Well, and-
let's start the trend.
And something else that's important to remember is that when sales tax gets collected from a municipality and it gets sent to the county and the state, a portion of that gets returned to the town in which it originated. So
Very true.
we could help to improve our revenue for next year if we improve the amount of sales tax that's collected. So
Yeah.
supporting
It's a
local
big
businesses here. Don't forget Beck's. Beck's
No,
would be a-
somebody said Beck's too. Yeah, one point about that sales tax, so at the meeting with the county executive last week, he said that the third quarter was the first quarter prior to COVID. The third quarter this year was the first time they were just below their projections. And during the discussion, a few of us brought up the fact that I'm sure weather had a lot to do with it because people weren't going out and they weren't shopping outside during the rain on the weekends. So hopefully the weather's been better. Hopefully it improves the fourth quarter. Anything else?
No public comment.
No public comment? Okay. I'll make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
No executive?
No executive. Did anyone see executive on there? No. Nothing. Okay. I'll make a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting at 8:07.
I'll second.
Call the question?
Hingham, aye.
Full aye.
Cardone, aye.
Ancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.